Have Jews been scapegoated throughout history? Most definitely so. Is there anti-Semitism? Yes, there is. What's the response? Should we be fearful? Should we fight back? And if we fight back, what is the appropriate way to fight back? I'm going to share with you on the flip side the Jewish response, the way of Chabad. Let's listen in and we'll share.
Okay, I want to take some questions from people that have been sending them in, and thank you all so much. Please continue to send them in. Douglas, one of our readers asked this. Do you think that the new right's anti-Churchill, anti-endless war stance has anti-Semitism at its core?
Well, only in the same way that everything has anti-Semitism at its core. I mean, everything does. It's amazing. The Jews are like, there is the perfect scapegoat. I'm completely convinced by Girard's analysis of the scapegoat in human society.
This is Rene Gerard.
Yeah. And it's violence and the sacred. And I'm completely convinced by it. It's just a perennial human psychological need. Among other things, by the way, Jews end up being the perfect scapegoat because what happens with paranoids? With what happens with paranoia? You don't need to have met a Jew to start to get paranoid about Jews if you're going down a level of paranoia, because somebody's controlling things. I can't understand the world. Somebody must understand it, and there must be somebody running it. Otherwise, it's damn disorder everywhere, and like nobody's in control, and I can't cope with that thing. So I'll decide there are a group of people in control, and then in the end, it's quite easy to see it as being bankers, and then that would be the Rothschilds. Obviously, it wouldn't be Bank of America, and it wouldn't be the Bank of Scotland. It can't be the Bank of Scotland. It's got to be the Rothschilds. Got to be. Only thing that makes sense. If I see a puppet master, because there must be a puppet master, because otherwise it's so darn complicated in this life. And like, if there's a puppet master, like, is it better if their surname ends with Witz or Stein, or is it better if it finishes with Smith? Like,
I love his way. Yeah, everything he says has got some kind of anti-Semitism at its core. There's a psychological need that people have to scapegoat. And of course, the Jews control everything. And that definitely brings a fear to people, to Jewish people, on how people look at us. But I think this is where the problem is for the Jewish people. We need to stop worrying about how people look at us, but worry about how we are in the eyes of God. That's important. Are we being who we need to be? Not because of anybody else. There are those that suggest, because of anti-Semitism, we got to hide ourselves. We got to hide our image. We got to hide and not be seen, and therefore assimilate amongst the nations. That definitely was a sentiment a century ago, and even might be to somewhat, it's much lesser today, but definitely was a sentiment. But that didn't work. The Jews in Germany, they were very much assimilated, and of course it didn't work. So what's the response to anti-Semitism then? Pro-Semitism is what we need to fight anti-Semitism. Be pro who you are. Be openly and proudly look like a Jew, act like a Jew, not because you need to prove something, but because that's who you are. Unabashedly. Again, you're not because you need to prove anything, because you are this. This is who you are, and you go about doing and who you are unabashedly. And what we're here, and not being motivated or concerned about other people and how they view us. In the end, there's only one that we have to be concerned. How does God think of me? Is he thinking that I am living up to my potential? Am I being the best person I could be, best human being? Or if you're Jewish, the best Jew that I could be? That's what matters. And if I live up to that, then we don't have to be concerned about how others look at us. Because in the end, the Jewish people are to be a light unto the nations. And when we recognize we are that light and we have a responsibility to shed that light, the teachings of Torah, the teachings of Jewish values, whether it be to fellow Jews or to non-Jews, 7 Noahide universal laws of all of mankind, that's pro-Semitism. People then say, oh, wow, you have a positive message to share with us that's meaningful for me in my life. I want to have that. As a matter of fact, I do that daily, teaching Tanya, which I have probably, 40, 50% of the students aren't Jewish. Why are they coming? Because they see that there's a positive message for them in their lives that's coming from the Torah, that's coming from God's wisdom, and they want to have a share in that. So let's be who we are as Jews and not worry about being scapegoated. Will they be those who will scapegoat us? Yes, but we're not going to live our lives or out of fear what others might try to do to us. We're going to live our lives in what God needs from us, and actually what all the world needs from us. The world needs us to be Jews who are a light, an ambassador of that light, carrying the torch in a manner that enlivens, enlightens, and gives meaning to other people's lives. That's who we are, what we got to do. That's pro-Semitism as a result, because you will then engage with people and they say, wow, that was nice. That was special. What are your thoughts on that?